All right. Hey, girls, how's it going? Sorry, it's been a couple days since I uploaded. Life has been so busy. I've been sick. My kid has been sick. And if you've ever had a sick toddler, you know what a fun time that is. And then my computer stopped working. So it's been a couple days. But ALR has been busy. And listen, if there's one thing we can say about it is that she has definitely been making content over on Bus because we regularly have things to talk about, and that wasn't always the case. There were some real like dry spells for a while in some of her content, so we are going to get into, I guess what I know is probably ALR's waking nightmare, but like maybe she likes it. I don't know. And we're gonna talk about the recap that they do of like the rarity stuff eventually. But right now we're gonna talk about what happens before that because it's like a lot of arguing, a lot of stupid stuff. Just nonsense. And I think I want to talk a little bit about what I think is happening here. This like narcissism versus empathy thing because they get really into it in this stream, and I think it's interesting. So we are going to talk a little bit about some of like the psychological parts of it, some of the developmental psychology that might be happening here. Again, I'm just like an idiot, so who knows. And also like potentially risk sounding too much like the other Rachel, but I promise I will never reach out to Tommy. So we are gonna get into it. As always, go follow Apathetic Facts. Go check out what they're doing over there because there's no way that I could watch some of the things that are doing in real time. It's like hours a day, and I can't get into it. So obviously go follow Apathetic Facts. If you are new here, please make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Always like go ahead and like stuff and comment in everything. That really helps my channel. I don't know, I'm just like an idiot who likes to make videos. So
Hey guys, okay, so I have not vlogged all day long. I've kind of just been, it's dark time as you know.
anyway, we're gonna get into it. We start off with what I can only call like a really strange argument between Fuba and ALR about narcissism and empaths and who is what. And I think we're gonna get into like what do I think is going on here,
When I wake up, I only sleep 3 hours anyways.
You're sleeping all
Okay, yeah, I'm never in there. I know nothing.
You stay in your bus VC. You
This
never
bitch
go
is so
in
fucking annoying and so stupid. I fucking hate working with her. This is so pointless. She's a fucking narcissistic bitch.
Look, it's 1 to know 1.
There's obviously been a lot.
No, it takes an empath to know a narcissist.
No,
Don't start.
not.
Okay, so we start off with this fight maybe about what is empathy, who's empathetic, who is narcissistic. And I can't take credit for this, but I do think that one thing that we know is that like those things are not always super far apart. They're not like polar opposites of each other, right? So psych central official, so whatever, I don't know, it's not me. It's also not like this is a potentially flawed source, but whatever. When we look at some of these things, I think it's possible that Amber is exhibiting definitely some more narcissistic traits, but I think she's trying to emulate what she thinks empathy traits are. Does that make sense? Because when we look at this, the where it overlaps, I think I could see her more, right? Because if we're thinking like empathy traits, self-awareness versus self-centeredness and a focus on what others think, it's pretty obvious that she definitely falls more on like the narcissistic trait. However, she is like obsessed with what other people think of her, right? When we think of like difficulty saying no versus sensitivity to criticism, and how that swings over to possible manipulation of others, I think we definitely see her fall into the narcissism as well as the sensitivity to criticism. I think the tendency to self-blame, I don't think I see that in her. I see her more in the low self-esteem. I think she definitely seeks self-esteem in external factors. And then the avoidance of uncomfortable emotions as well as defensiveness. I think it's pretty obvious, right? Again, I don't know enough about Fupa to know like where she falls in any of these. I feel like she doesn't talk enough in those streams for me to really have an idea of what's going on. But I think when we think about empathy versus like a highly empathetic person versus like a narcissistic person, they're not necessarily like completely opposite sides of a spectrum. I think they both are, like I said, and it does a good job of like the Venn diagram, is that like they have parts of them that overlap. But to say for Amberlynn to say like I fall more on the empathy side is, I think, probably incorrect. I think most people who have watched any of this would know that she falls more on like the narcissistic traits. Okay, so then we move on to talking a little bit more about whatever's happening in the VC, the voice chat. And I'm not going to lie, I'm getting a little bit curious, but I just saw how she was talking about, you know, potentially trying to find out people's information. So definitely not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but it certainly is interesting because I don't 100% understand what is so interesting that's happening in there that anyone would be interested in spending any additional time in there. Like the fans, I understand why ALR and, you know, Fupa and whoever might want to be in there, but I really don't understand what the fans are doing in there. So they start talking about the VC.
So much going on where people are accusing you of doing of Fupa doing you know, harming the VC, making sure that people feel like they're unsafe and they feel like they can't be, you know, interacting with anyone anymore because I'm hearing y'all are trying to get personal information from people.
You're a fucking creep.
Okay, I disavow. All
I
right.
disavow. All creeps say that.
All creeps? You just said it, bitch. Anyways, there's been this thing going on where they're saying that you've been asking people in the VC to give their real names to you.
I heard that you guys are actually taking attendance and that you are requiring like your driver's license in order to like verify people and using their real names like on a spreadsheet to take attendance every day.
At least I'm not
in there. I'm not in there.
You're the
like
one who said the most awful thing you've ever heard ever.
And we hear a couple of different claims that are made. And I think, honestly, they are too specific to be inaccurate, if you're asking my opinion. So, for example, Fupa says that they're collecting information and taking attendance, which is an extremely specific thing to say. But also, we see ALR do this, like, ridiculous, almost like caricature of, like, oh my God, I can't believe you would accuse me of that, which is obviously ridiculous because we've seen her do this specifically, but also, you know, we were just threatening Fupa saying like, I know your real name, right? And it just seems very strange. Again, I don't really understand like what are fans getting out of this. I assume that there are fans who genuinely enjoy watching ALR and like want to hang out with her, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would anyone pay to be a part of this? Why, right? And it's very strange. Then we get into ALR arguing that this is a real job and how she really takes it seriously. And I understand why she would want to spend time in the VC because I assume that she thinks that people are talking about her in there. And she's like, well, this is a real job, which is her making it clear that, you know, she thinks that it's important, or she's trying to justify why she's spending so much time in there, maybe.
About my mother.
Like you are,
so then I said,
have
you look like a lollipop with a few fucking earrings on top. I said you don't deserve hair, and I said that, so you recorded the fucking thing,
Okay.
and you posted it, and you sent it to some loser fucking reaction channel who isn't even fucking know.
Sure did.
People have been reaching out saying, you can't trust Amber anymore, all right? She's trying to collect personal information. She's going into these Facebook groups and trying to fucking message people. She's doing all this shit.
You guys are in there with me.
Well,
Not every single second of every day like you are. You're always in there all night long.
You are in there like 10 hours a day.
Oh my God, because it's my job.
You don't get paid to be in the VC.
I tell people, be a cash cow, you get to speak to me. I take this job seriously, and I might be the only one, apparently.
No, we just have a life. I know you don't understand.
You don't have a life. You live with your parents, bro, and you have sugar daddies. You suck ass.
Okay.
Like, you're so I have family too. I'm sorry that I'm treating this as a real job.
Okay.
That's why you're not
Pause,
going to
ladies. It is a long time to be in the Discord, for sure, right? But you say you're doing it for work, but it is every day that you're there for like 10 hours. I'll go to sleep at like 11 p.m. my time, and I'll wake up to get ready for my next shift. 6 a.m., 5 a.m., you're still in there.
And ALR, doesn't necessarily have a ton of experience with like real jobs, right? But I just want to come in here and tell you, if you're listening, which maybe you are, I hope you are, this is not something that a real job would probably ask you to do. Do you know what I mean? To like constantly be present in this VC is not something that any job would ask you to do, because it would be so physically taxing on so many people, right? So she goes on and on about how this is like I treat this as a job, this is a real job, but like this is not something that a real job would ever ask you to do, you know? But anyway, we get back, and Tina is roasting them for basically just like hanging out in there all the time, which honestly, like fair and accurate.
I'm just trying to figure out this, Amber. I've been on here for 15 years, and I got a hell of a following too, haters included. I just don't understand what it is in there that y'all are discussing, because when I went in there, it was like a sleepover, but everybody was sleeping. I don't get it. Does anybody scared to go outside? I mean, they don't have no real friends. To me, that's a scary situation. Y'all are young. You should be fucking going to parties, making mistakes, experiencing life.
Told them,
If I stay there for 6 hours, who fucking cares? I treat it as if it's my job, and I am giving people who have watched me for a fucking decade a chance to either shit on me or love me, baby. And I fucking love it. I love the attention, and I'm parasocial as fuck. I don't care.
Why didn't you ever make a Discord of your own? Why does everybody come to Keemstar's universe and fucking eat off of his back? I don't get it. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
So Keem
being dumb to create her own Discord.
I am only on there because of Keem, but I am making Keem a lot of money, and he's very appreciative.
You're not the only one doing it, though, Amber. We've been doing it for over a year before you got here.
Me saying I like pineapple, that's not me saying I don't like oranges. So me saying I'm making Keem money, I'm not saying that you're not making him money. I'm just pointing out that I am also.
Yeah, but he's also making us money. He's giving us the ability to come here for 2 hours and have all these different things.
And as I was listening to this, like, honestly, all I could hear is that ALR only wants to be the center of attention. Good or bad, it doesn't really matter to her. Honestly, like, the bad attention is probably the easier thing to get, low-hanging fruit, right? And that's all I'm hearing when she's saying that, like, she wants to be in there. It doesn't matter to her. Like, if it is expected of her, it doesn't matter to her if it's productive. She only cares that she gets to be the center of attention. And that's the only thing that matters, even if it's like the most draining thing in the world, right? Anyway, there is a question in the chat about how Tina is encouraging Amber to potentially have like her own VC, or asking why she never had a VC in the past.
King started the foundation of the universe, right? We all are team players, especially the first 3 shows. And that's not y'all. Y'all came a year later. And I get it. But when you keep saying me, all the people that follow you that have no life and probably don't even have animals, they only go with you. They only believe what you say. And that becomes a situation for the rest of us. They only believe what you say, what you do.
Amber is the worst here, no doubts for a second. She cares about no one but herself. I'd rather be stuck in a room with a severely policey baby than with Amber, which is your legal name, Amber.
So Jessica Pizzle wants to know, Tina.
Yes.
You used to be in the VC all the time. Like, you would hop into like the live VC.
You ignored the first question.
What's the first question then? I'll answer.
Well, okay, Amber, why are you trying to steal money from Keem or Tina, why are you trying to tell Amber to steal? I got you. Tina, why are you trying to get Amber to steal money from Keem by making her own Discord?
That's not what I said. I said, why didn't she ever have her own? Why? You've been out here this many years. You got all these people, and you're eager for them to talk to you. Why did it have to take for you to come over here for them to be able to do that? We had Google Hangouts back in the day. We had mod chats back in the day.
Skype.
I mean, there's been plenty of ways to do it. Why wasn't it done? That's all I asked.
I'll answer for Amber. She's not a very smart business person. I would have monetized my channel in many other ways. She had a lot of opportunities to create like really
here we go 3v1.
And
I'm not going to attack you.
And she didn't. So
I'm so bored.
And I think that this is like a fair point. Like, why did you not maybe make this in the past if it was something that you thought was so cool? But it also shows that she would definitely want to be able to verify who those people are. We saw that in, the Stream Queens, whatever, live stream era. Because we're getting to see this like part of her where we're seeing like a honestly gross, less scripted side of her. And I can only imagine that in the VC it is like level 10, right? And so she's going to want to be as in control as possible. And as things become like less and less scripted, the way that she is honestly like abusive, unkind to other people is like front and center. And we're going to see that over and over in like some of the VC stuff, right?
You're pretty nasty in that VC when you want to be, huh, Amber?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard it.
And then I'm also really sweet too.
No,
But they're
not
not
the
going to show that part. They're not going to show the fun, quirky, kind Amber Lynn, the one that's like off of work, clocked out. They're going to show the clocked in, clicked in part of Amber Lynn. That's who they're going to show.
Tina's talking about this clip that was leaked today from the Bus VC.
Someone with as ugly as a heart as Fupa deserves to have no hair on their head.
And Amber's going on about how nobody is going to show what a fun, quirky person she is. They're only going to show the mean, awful moments. And I think she doesn't understand that, like, most people are, like, fun and quirky most of the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, most people are pleasant most of the time. It's only really interesting because you are being so ridiculous, right? And so cruel and unkind to other people. And so she doesn't know why anyone would focus on those, as if it's clearly not the most interesting part. And this comes to bite her right away because someone asks her a question about her like medical experiences.
Blank peer.
Amber is the absolute worst and I hate her guts. 2. Saying Fupa doesn't deserve ear hair is diabolical. Would we be wrong if we said that you don't deserve ovaries?
I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm laughing. The I hate her guts part made me laugh. I'm sorry.
Okay, address that last part of the question. Would we be wrong if we said that you don't deserve ovaries?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So you are wrong for what you said about the hair.
All right. I'm going to go.
No, Amber!
And we're seeing something that I just saw in the last foodie video, I think, is playing out cognitive dissonance theory in real time. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that is, why I think it's happening, and again, I'm going to risk sounding too much like the other Rachel, and we're just going to get into it because I think I see what's happening. So what I saw there is Amber saying something really cruel and unkind about Fupa and her hair. And then somebody replied, well, so would we be wrong to say that you don't deserve ovaries then? Because obviously Amber had those removed as part of a hysterectomy. And she says, yeah, that's totally different. And cognitive dissonance theory is essentially the dissonance, and by dissonance I mean like the space in your brain, sort of the internal conflict that occurs in a person when they hold two conflicting beliefs simultaneously, right? So they can see, for example, Amber is in her mind saying Fupa deserves to have something negative happen to her, but I don't deserve to have something negative happen to me, right? We can see it, and I think like the easiest way to maybe like it's explained often is like the smoking versus health, right? So that's the example that is always used when talking about cognitive dissonance, because generally like we know that smoking is harmful to people's health, right? There's no there's no ifs, ands, or buts there, right? People who are addicted to cigarettes know that it is bad for them, right? And yet people continue to smoke despite having this knowledge. And you could say like, well, you know, there's addiction and there's different things, right? But people will continue to smoke despite knowing that it's bad for them, right? And this presents cognitive dissonance for the smoker who has to understand, you know, most people would be like, well, I care about myself. I want to be healthy, right? And maybe I'm doing this thing like smoking that I know directly contradicts that, right? And so this presents this like cognitive discomfort for people that is called cognitive dissonance. All right, we're going to see this literal exact example play out in real time because ALR is going to talk about, you know, wax poetic on her thoughts on like how smoking versus being super morbidly obese? Which one is safer? Which one do, cardiovascular people, which one do they prefer?
There's two people. There's a skinny person who's smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Then there's a 500-pound person who's eating more than the average. Why does this person, the fat person, get hate, but not the person who is smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day?
They do get hate too. Like,
no, they don't.
The reason why smokers are getting so much hate is someone smoking 30 cigarettes a day, their life expectancy is reduced by like 8 years, right? Mm-hmm. Someone who's over 500 pounds, their life expectancy is reduced by 15 to 20 years. Okay,
You're wrong.
It's twice.
You're wrong. You're wrong, and I'm going to clock it in a minute. So cardiovascular surgeons and doctors are asked, what is one thing that you would never do? And they say smoke. They're asked, would you rather be a smoker or someone who is over 400 pounds? And they say, I would rather be 400 pounds.
I'm not a doctor, but that feels like a very convenient thing for her to believe.
People who smoke die younger than people who are morbidly obese, but no one ever talks about that. Do your research, Tech. You're the smart guy.
The Center of Disease Control, the CDC, says that smoking 40 cigarettes a day will cause you to lose approximately 8.8 to 10 years of life. The CDC also has another report here that says a 500-pound woman falls into the category of severe or morbidly obese, class 3, and faces a reduction of their life by 15 to 20 years. I literally have the reports right here.
Do you want to talk to actual real cardiovascular people who do surgeons every day, or are you undermining them? Okay.
One guy who works in a surgery room versus the CDC.
Yeah, like a cigarette affects.
The CDC has been wrong about multiple things.
He literally reads it from the CDC, and her response is to assume they must be smokers. Because if you can discredit the source, you don't have to confront the information.
Look,
you're a smoker. You're a smoker, aren't you?
No, the f- I'm not. I've never been.
Your teeth are yellow.
I'm a smoker.
Your teeth are yellow, so I figured.
I smoke.
Your teeth are yellow.
We're one to talk. What about those vapes? And you were smoking around your pets with Feline? You let Feline smoke around your pets? Do we really want to go?
No, we had a designated room for that. Pets were not allowed to be near that at all. At all.
Right.
Look.
At all.
Okay.
I'm not jaundiced.
And I think that we can see the cognitive dissonance in this because nobody is arguing that being smoking is healthy, right? Everyone is saying that like these things, there's like a whole list of things that people can do that are really dangerous for your health. Smoking is on there. Being super morbidly obese is on there. Doing scary drugs is on there. You know what I mean? Like there's this whole list. And nobody, I don't think, is making the argument that like smoking is healthy. It's not, it's good for you. It's not an either or. It's not like, well, if I am going to be super morbidly obese, the other, there are two ways to live. I could be super morbidly obese or I could be smoking. Those are the only two options that exist. All right, so we're seeing this in real time because someone is pointing out Amber's contradictory beliefs, right? That like Fupa doesn't deserve hair, right? She deserves for bad things to happen to her, but someone thinking that Amber deserves to have something bad happen for her is uncomfortable for her. She's holding these two contradictory beliefs in her head, and that's where like the mental discomfort arises. And that can produce feelings of like anxiety, guilt, frustration, that sort of stuff. And so a person will, if they are a developed person and continuing to develop, will likely alter or change one of their beliefs to create consistency. So in this situation, it might be like, the thing that I said about Fupa was mean and I shouldn't have said that. And I don't actually think that she deserves to have lost her hair. And that's like the brain's way of doing it. So that's what would happen if a person was, let's say, emotionally mature. A person had worked on themselves to develop the skills to be able to do that. That being said, there are some ways that you can kind of like ease that cognitive tension if you feel like you are not going to change you're not going to like make the evolved decision. You could use some of these like coping strategies. So like, for example, you could reduce the importance of like that element in your mind, right? So like that would be, potentially Amber saying like, well, ovaries are way more important than somebody's hair, right? Or the thing that I said doesn't really matter, but the thing that Fupa said is way worse, right? They could, potentially like add, or this is like a branding diagram, but it definitely gets the interest across. They could focus on the importance of other elements, right? So this would be her like shifting to, well, Fupa did this. She said this thing to me, and therefore, you know, whatever I said was justified. They can change the action of behavior altogether. So they might focus more on like, well, that was me in the past. I would never do that now. Or they can deny the dissonance elements. So basically just like run away from what they think is happening, which I think is what Amber's like maybe most common strategy. Honestly, she does all of these, but in this one we see her just say like, I'm gonna go, bye. And I think we're proved to see that that is exactly what's happening, because she immediately shifts to talking about how this is not who she is in real life. She is a completely different person in, her real life. She's trying to create this like cognitive distance between the things that she's doing in the VC and the things that we're seeing her do here, or like someone's pointing something out to her and she's like, well, this is totally different. I'm not really like that in real life. I'm not actually a horrible person who would say something mean like that. I'm completely different.
At one time and one time only, I am not like this in real life. My mom watches this and she is shocked at how I act. If I did not act like this, I would be fired, because I would be boring Lynn. I am an empath, and 9 times out of 10 I leave the show feeling bad, but I am here to entertain you all, and I am working. Becky was one of the most craziest bitches on this LCU bullshit, and guess what? I am being told I'm crazier than her, so guess what? I am doing my job correctly. So sit on it and spin and keep donating. That is why Keem loves me, and that is why I'm not replaceable, and that is why Fupa is.
Amber, Keem is going to pimp you around else.
But also, like, we just saw her in the VC being horrible. So, is that really reasonable for her to say? I don't think so, because I don't know who could, like, actually fake it that long. I think that ALR is seeing in this, like, VC and some of these things reflected to her in real time, like, how negative of a person she actually is. And that is creating this, like, sense of her being like, I don't want to be that person. Obviously, who would want to be a person who's, like, super cruel to other people and everyone thinks is a terrible person, right? And so she is trying to create this distance from herself and say like, well, this is just a job. This is, I'm just in there because, this is my job, whatever. When in reality, we can see the reason why she would probably actually be in there. And also that the things that she's doing in there when she is her least guarded is her truest self.
That this is all planned storylines? Why should we care about this stuff if it's fake? I cannot imagine destroying my public image for rent money, bro.
Amber's going after people.
Anyway, this is a good point, because I do think in a real sense, because Amber is obviously wanting to go back to her own show or her own, channel at some point. I mean, maybe not obviously. It seems like she wants to go back to her own show, her own channel at some point. I do think that like she is wanting to control this VC so much because she doesn't want people ruining her ability to go back and go back to that, previous channel situation, because I do think that this is damaging the relationship that she has with her audience. But I think just in general, like this VC is truly ruining her ability to go back to, whatever she had planned after this, because the veil has been lifted. People have seen who she really is, and it's going to be really hard to go back and say like, actually, I think you're just like a fun little vlogger and there's nothing wrong with the things that you do. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about for today. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for being here. If you're back, thank you even more, maybe. I'm new to making videos, so if you ever have like suggestions or things that I should make videos about, please let me know. We can get more into it. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, leave comments, all that stuff. It really does help my channel. Lets me know that you're actually interested in, whatever the heck I'm doing over here. And I just really appreciate you being here. So I hope you have a great and wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.